For those that are watching later, I'm waiting till we have our first viewer or viewers. And so, you know how this works. You wait a few minutes. You can also scroll and see when my mouth moves on the timeline. You can scroll forward. Okay. I like to come to this coffee shop because I believe that there is an angelic presence that is stronger than where I hang my hat. And my friend sleeps in the morning. Good morning to whoever is watching. Hopefully you come in peace. Chat is open, but it will not be abused. There's a real lack of brotherly love. What city, right? And so when I hear about the MGTOW crowd, the disenfranchised males in our world that talk about the city of men, what kind of men do they speak of? And would all men be created equal? In the world of MGTOW, hell no. When you look at their actions, when you look at the statements of MGTOW men, you know, I don't know if they've grown up a lot since 10 years ago, but 10 years ago, they were very much part of the matrix, very much normies, very much confused, actually, about real trends that women are actually into. And there was a lot of hocus pocus, fake news, this type of stuff in MGTOW 10 years ago. Don't know if they're still that way, but I have considered a MGTOW channel away from this that may be named MGTOW. So if any of you are MGTOW consumers, I know we have one named Z. If that's something that you would be into and you would support it, I think Z is one of our most dedicated viewers. I am considering it for the purpose of discussing deeper levels of truth, not for this channel, and basically people that are not deserving. And you know what I mean. And I also have some stories to share, recent stories that I really don't want them to listen to. They really don't need to hear about themselves. It needs to be in a safe space where I talk about some of these case studies and things that I've learned without their, evil eye. And so looking at the totality of the last 20 years of what I've been doing, we can see a real interference with regards to men. It's not just the opposite sex. And it's something that I know a lot about. How they can be abusive, how they can use, how they like to play games. And so even though I am male, I see myself as very much a whistleblower of the ways of the bad boy, but even to young up and coming males that need to be warned about bad mentors. In other words, me warning young males about bad males that would use their time and energy. What are some hallmarks of that? Hallmarks of a bad male who's giving bad mentorship to another male. Promises of going to do this, going to do that type of thing when, they're actually not interested in helping them, but in fact, they want them to be some sort of a grunt or a mule, maybe for something later, whereas they might put themselves, if they're not as smart as they claim to be, they might say like, oh, maybe I'll use so-and-so for something nasty and ditch them in some sort of a pool or something. And then anytime you hear someone like admit they have that level of immorality, basically, you want to be very careful how close you get involved with such and such. You heard me brag, right, about my friend back in the day. He would teach me on the back certain things. But what was very clear to me is that there was a real co-opting of the teachings. There was no spirituality. And when I met somebody else who was his student, I saw that he had some pretty advanced trapping techniques. And so I realized that he never really taught me real world combat. You know what I mean? So I'm lucky that I haven't been in some major. So for me, the heavy neck stuff isn't violence or violence fantasy. It's just fitness, guys. When some of you may not identify with that, some of you should. And if you're an older man, 45 or 50, I'm not trying to knock down to you, talk down to you, knock down to you, punch down to you. don't knock learning how to swing at 45 or 50. It's not as difficult as you think. I just have a knack for it, but I'm not professionally trained. But if I was, I'd be a professional fighter. Absolutely. And a day trader. If I was professionally trained to learn. And let's move on to the next part of the topic. A real brother, a real dad, a real mentor. When as soon as somebody becomes a young man or something in this world, that they begin to mentor them about savings, about investing, and they don't blow smoke up their wazoo if they're extremely ignorant about finances. Okay, and investment. And so if someone's extremely naive about finances and investments, what type of things can happen? They can end up not knowing what they're dealing with. And they can end up, unfortunately, with some people involved in hot water if they allow their name to be used for, say, a transaction that's not legal. You know what I mean? So this whole world is full of bad people, unfortunately, that will take advantage of a young person's energy, because a young person has a precious energy, okay, whether it be underage or above age. And so people, corporations, places, and things like to harvest that luge. Makes sense? So when I was young, for example, you could even say less broken, less traumatized. So perceivably less crazy, right? And then a younger, more loose. There's a lot of reasons why a younger male is going to be more desirable in the workplace and female for a number of different reasons. It's not always like what you think. So when I write my life story, and I'm going to work on that, I'll go over another time the different examples in which there really was not much of that, you know. And that's what's really important for any females that may be listening, that hopefully are learning from me. There may be some that got my card in person that are not talking to me, but they may be watching me from a distance. And I'm going to say this again because it came up, but I don't know if she came to the channel because she's here at the coffee shop. The sudden rise of, and I don't see a lot of them, but I do, good-looking white Muslims is confusing to me. If they're not interested and you notice I changed the URL back. You're welcome. It was just a social experiment. I'm not really political like that. There is no such thing, guys, and you should know that, as a Afghan Lives Matter movement. Doesn't exist. That was the whole joke about it. I mean, you get it, right? Doesn't exist. Nobody's ever heard of it. Most lives mattering. You're an idiot. You see where I've been hurt. You see, I'm the first person to even bring that up. Are you there? This is simulation. Let's move on. That got my attention with the female. She's sitting there talking about how she knew this was a simulation. And you know what I'm thinking? What else do you know? Oh, teach me. Oh, great goddess. Oh, big sister of subject X. Taller than her, too. I like them tall and smart, spiritual. Someone just stopped launching. And so it's like, wow, she had it going on. Would she be open to conversation? Maybe, maybe not. But she's the first person who seemed to really get the reality of the simulation. You know what I mean? And she got sent home because it's slow, and that's fine. It's slow. But she was capable of conversation. And so it's really important for me to stop thinking about that poor woman who doesn't want my attention, the one I call subject X. Because I love it if she did, but she doesn't. I asked the pendulum lots of questions. Right? And in the past, people, if they wanted to get a hold of me, would email me. So I know that society is capable of it because it happened to me in the past. So I know that I'm worthy of an email, and that the female gender, if interested, would email. And I believe in Alan Billionaire, that when you are rejected, that you are to move on, not look back. Keep going forward, and don't look back from where you're at. I'm thinking that the channel should be also renamed to match the content. Okay. 2025 Solar Wars. So we'll continue on here with this theme, but really I'm ready to branch out with the MGTOW channel and basically talk about relationships full time And it was really therapeutic to look at the pictures of the females that I admired for a long time and thought were like good or something for me. I mean, I always knew deep down inside there was something very wrong with Patricia. But as she grew older, and I'm looking at the pictures now, you can see her now if you go to the community tab. She's the bottom one. She looks like a hybrid alien. Then when we get to Gunnar and his sister, Gunnar led me to the needle. And so we know that Gunnar was a white supremacist who actually got into Stefan Molyneux later, who believes that white people are inherently smarter. He was actually pretending the whole time to be apologetic, is what I'm getting at. What I'm getting at is, as someone that's woken up more and more, the dude was never actually apologetic. And you have a lot of these people in AA that don't actually make amends, that are just vamping. They're just vamping for energy, attention. Who knows? Diamond David's another one who goes to AA there and there. And so you have these people that don't believe in making amends when they've created wreckage in their lives. You know, because there's the whole status, attention of being the dude, like, you know, being at a meeting and being someone that people give their time and energy to. Having been someone that was a secretary in a meeting, I understand the responsibility that goes with leadership in AA. All right. And then with Gunnar, with recovery, like after the fact, he was very, very gung-ho at telling me that I didn't know anything about recovery. And in 2012, when I made a video, which I don't believe I uploaded for you yet, but I think that I should later. I don't know how many of you would appreciate that. It's an older classic. It's basically showing Lord of the Rings to Metallica, basically. Lord of the Rings to Metallica. And basically showing the way I edit video and whatnot. The human trafficking nightmare, China on the march, little robot dogs scurrying around, like very prophetic, and like the Eye of Sauron opening up and tracking people. At the very end, I edited in He-Man saying, "I have the power," and then I uploaded that, and then I posted it to Facebook. And there is Gunnar commenting, mocking me. Now, the He-Man thing, I mean, they made a whole movie about that. It's really not that, hell, I should say, gay to be venerating He-Man when it played. I mean, even A-Man like that in the early 80s. And it was seen as a status symbol. And so it's a sigil for believing that one has the power. It's a symbol of masculine confidence. And then you have the He-Man movies. But yes, a lot of the toys and whatnot, very gayish. And ultimately the toys that I had with He-Man were stolen. And then you might notice that I am drawn to the mystical, spiritual aspects of He-Man. You know, He-Man fighting Skeletor, He-Man fighting evil. So when he came around and he was mocking that, to me, I was seeing his true self. And there's more I can say about that. So yeah, I'm going to rename the channel. But we're back to 2025 countdown. And so people subscribe. But a brown female face. And so if that's the result, being authentic, then maybe I'll change it back. Because I'll tell you what, white dudes offended about me saying Afghan lives matter are not really feeling it in their own spirit. Doesn't help me, how shall I say, create family. And that's something you should be sympathetic to if you have any brain cells going on. A bunch of dudes having a sausage fest with me that have reservations about whether my life matters or not can't actually help me in the end times. All they can do is watch me and maybe learn from me. And so through that, I can, through myself, they help me by being a teacher, by me teaching people that need to be taught. Makes sense? But they themselves are not feeling called to duty to be of assistance. Nor do they feel that they would want me to be around them with the nature that I am, especially now. I mean, I burn my bridges, as my best friend says it quite well. Okay, so when I do see super pretty white Muslims, right, and they don't feel drawn, of all people, to a certain lives matter hashtag, then it hurts my feelings rationally because I feel, because of their religion and my ancestry, that they should care more about it. And I shouldn't be traveling to Muslim countries as a non-Muslim, and Greg should know better than to talk to me like I'm an idiot. You don't do that. You're dumb, dude. Let me break it down for you because you're a new viewer. You're retarded. To go to a Muslim country when you're not Muslim, even if you're the heritage, you can get killed. You could be seen as a sinner. So you trying to put me in their box and think that they would be with me? No. That group and those people judge me more than any demographic. And so when I'm at Walmart, for example, like today, I see another person with a hijab. I try to give her a card on my channel, and she has this grin to her. So this is what needs to be said. We'll talk about this in the video. This region and country has a real setup for them to only play a role as a worker bee, and to basically live as a follower of the mainstream media and whoever's controlling the Muslim woman at home. As for her being respected and being treated as an equal, I don't see how, just we'll leave you statements out of it, how anybody cares about these people, including their family. Islamophobia is a real thing, and these CAIR organizations, I don't trust. CARE, is it called? CARE? I don't trust this stuff. These leaders that are appointed to represent them, their husbands, don't trust them. They're control freaks like my father, is what it is. And so for me to say, hey, I care about you, what you call God has given me information about what's going to happen to you in the coming years, can I warn you? No. And so I am to stop thinking that they need my love or protection. Okay, if they're going to turn away from someone trying to talk to them at their level, they're sinning. That's it. It has nothing to do with me. If you want to ignore me, ignore this channel, fine, ignore me. Talk to me like I'm nothing. Unsubscribe from me. Get offended as you want. If anything, God, or what they would call Allah, but I don't really do that. I call God. It's just how I am. If God gave me knowledge to give you, and I can prove it in my book, okay, and then they're going to turn away from it when the stuff is clearly happening in the news. What, do you want to believe that 9/11 was committed by real people? Do you want to believe that Jabbar acted on his own? Or that he was a real Muslim? No, he's not. I mean, wow. Of course he's not. Now, I just saw the cop outside who 86'd me from Starbucks under penalty of arrest, and he just gave me a wave. That was nice. I had a lot of paranoia involving him, maybe breaking into my car and stealing my audio recorder because I can't find it. But maybe God intervened in my life because I'm a hothead. And God's like, okay, you're going to get yourself in hot water recording cops and putting that on your YouTube. How about blink? And so the things that we may think are curses may be God and our angels going, whoa. Hang on there, hothead. You don't want to be messing with these guys. And even if they were involved in human trafficking, what evidence do I have? And what could I do to bring them to justice? Nothing. And if they were human trafficking someone or victimized someone, wouldn't that be God's responsibility? And if any of you want me to be deputized, I think I would know that by now, right? Right. You tell me, hey, bro, you should be deputized. You should organize stuff. You're not necessarily encouraging me to act on my fantasies about playing out Burt Reynolds in Heat. So, Daniel-san, you have watched this long, but you have not liked. So who are you really? Only time will tell. And maybe you have liked it, I just don't know yet. And maybe you just don't know whether I'm worthy. Maybe you feel if you don't like, you have a psychological advantage. The master plan is coming together, master. Soon all the slaves will be ours. And so there's a real brotherly, okay, it's probably Z, or it's, and I don't have a problem with someone giving constructive feedback who may be an employee from a northern state, as long as you understand that it's going to take you a couple months to get readjusted to the new me. Okay, and I have a lot of history meeting dudes behind the scenes, and what you got to watch out for, first and foremost, is all dudes with girlfriends, or hiding the fact that they have a girlfriend. I really got deep in the relationship commentary after I got back to Portland. And that's when it became a lot more, part of my repertoire. And that's when a lot of women from my past faded away and went away to go vampire on somebody else. They're like, he knows too much. He knows too much. You got to go now. But let me tell you, as far as this female that I saw today, just one look. Cindy Crawford, no, she was something else. Straight black hair. Okay, no descriptions. Looking good. That'd be great if some chicks was listening, got offended, and ran away like 10 minutes ago. That'd be great. I highly doubt that. I highly doubt that. She's probably not even watching me. And my pendulum is actually being run by a demon. It is what it is. When in Rome, this is not a weighted pendulum. Okay, scares the bejesus out of these people here. If I pull out the pendulum, oh boy, it's witchcraft time. Please. They just don't understand. Some Christians do, though. But again, it's not actually a Christian coffee shop. It actually kind of has a theme to it, but actually attracts vampires that come to loosh and gobble. That spiritual energy that we men emit, they come and gobble, 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 gobble. I'm actually convinced the only reason many women exist is to lead us away from God. It's just very important that we understand that this type of is body consciousness. It could completely lead us to a highway to hell, which is why we need spiritual MGTOW. So get your tickets now. And if you want to throw me some money, if you're watching this right now, you're like, yes, I was waiting for this hardcore MGTOW. Stop the World War III. Stop the working out. You're hurting me. MGTOW all the time. Go deeper into the matrix. Because in the depths of the MGTOW matrix, labyrinth, you will find God. As you expose the woman, you will find the devil. As you expose the men, no, don't leave. As you expose the men that don't care about exposing bad men and human trafficking, you will find the devil there too. So we must, now we have 4 people. We must begin, well, let's begin part 2 then. Since a bunch of people just decided to get off the bus and go, okay, so you're listening. But are you taking notes? What kind of examples do we as men have of brotherly love right now in the alternative media? We'll try to stay away from jock talk, fit men, tough men. Let's just talk about people getting along without being douchebags. Different races, same races, whatever. We'll try to not sound too woke about it. What we really do is we have this over-competitive drive of the matrix and I don't really identify, although I do identify with aspects of being a jealous man. No, but you can email me. That looks like a Northern Borealis in your. If you would like to request it or a member, I can start reporting on the science that we can prove of the sun. Creating special segments saying this is what Tamitha is saying, this is what BP Earthwatch is saying. Just a couple of channels there, and then this is my take on it, and this is what's in the news. But a massive dark spot that just sounds like another sunspot. Sunspots are believed to be dark. And so when it's surprising that there's a massive sunspot forming, that's going to be creating Action Jackson throughout 2025. Wouldn't surprise me. We woke up one day and we were just boom, 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 bombarded. So, all right, I tell you this, you might want to get some extra beer. In fact, how many of you want to go drink with me this morning downtown and drive around making funny? Yeah, no, let's go. Yeah, look, no, wait. You drive, I drink. Okay, I lost one of my viewers. He's sinning. Now, as far as this hot chick, they're back. What is the best way to handle this hot chick phenomenon, the funk phenomenon? She can speak. She's good looking, looks fit. She might even want to go to the gym. And she knows that we're in a simulation. She's definitely got a boyfriend. But this time, I don't care. And I'll tell her that. But I'm not trying to steal you from nobody, but I will talk to you and tell you I'm numero uno while I come here and am your customer and drink coffee and ignore you and go back to my podcast and be self-absorbed and make you come to me. It's a very proper environment for me to show I'm the dude slowly over time. Whether or not the other waitress is watching these videos, she will not tell me. She's maintaining her poker face. She's in a weird dimension. Lady, you're an odd one. You're an odd one. But the other, she's from this environment. She's seen some shit. And I'm like, I interview you, yeah? I interview you. She's never, I can guarantee it, never been asked in her life to be interviewed about what she knows. And so, good morning, Denny's waitress from across the sea in Germany, right? Frankfurt, where you work at Denny's. Or Manhattan, rather. What a place to be working. But I remember saying to that waitress, I've done your job. I'll tell you now. I'll tell all you. I'll tell you all. You'll all see. I worked overnight when I lived with my grandpa in the 2000s. And during those periods, those were not good periods for me. See, I did that. What was I doing? Those were not good periods. But why were they not good periods? And why am I not a conspiracy theorist, but a mentor, a dad who's not a dad, but a wannabe dad? Because I see the mistakes of this world. I see the deeper layers of the conspiracy. Often the conspiracy people don't see. You know what I mean? Like the everyday conspiracy, but we don't really call it a conspiracy. We just call it like the unconscious world or whatever. But it is. The common pitfalls that lead young men and women towards a life of drugs, crime, and alcohol. A horrible world in which people don't learn about real value systems from their parents, ended up in compromised living situations. If there's any questions people have, we have 5 people, so that's a good. But in another video, I can talk about what's going on in the sun. Massive dark spots, coronal mass ejections, things of that nature. But I'm probably going to stop the stream in 6 minutes because I'm running out of stuff to say. So we're in the 6-minute countdown. Okay, so what am I saying here is that I'm not attacking women with my relationship series, that there's a wound there between me and men that can be traced to me and my father, and then a lack of camaraderie between me and my brother, and a lack of camaraderie between me and Bruce, my uncle. And then none of them really being impressed with my book, and this not reflecting anything wrong that I've done, but them having some sort of a mental hang-up with their years of abusing me and not wanting to write things. Like to me in my brain, like if I prove to you that I have value, dude, correct the fast and talk to me. But they like have this weird type of like sink into the ground type of know that they're scumbags, know that they wronged me, know that they treat me with hatred, and they can't even correct it years after when I show them, bro, I have something to offer society. You're actually, and they just like stop talking completely, all of them. With A-Man, I talked a lot on this channel, and so I could see him going, dude, screw you. After all the meals I gave you, screw you. But I did send him many, many books. And when you send people books of a spiritual nature, that could be the real thing that makes them go, you're into that? I'm into people with killer instinct. You're into that gay shit? Oh my God, bro. I gotta go. Conjuring up masters and whatnot, or even believing like that, that we can be like, powerful on a different level, can rub people the wrong way. And also, I set the Tamim Ansari book with my writing inside that one day I'm going to write a story like that. And you don't have to, but if you ever did want to impress me, it'd be having an interest in Tamim's book, East of Kabul, West of New York. You can buy it for $5. You can buy it for $5. And there you will see what is a micro inspiration to me. It's that guy. And yes, the solar flares are going to be crazy, very ill. So it's my goal. You guys can pray for me if you want, for my brain, for those who that pray for my health. Although I shouldn't be asking for you to send me energy for that. I get my ADHD under wraps, whatever you might call it. So that as of right now, tonight, I can go back to Denny's and start writing. And as of tonight, granted, I get a nap today. And I get up at midnight and I go to Denny's with confidence, tip a few for coffee, and start writing. So I'll give you a sample at the Substack page. If you're on this channel but not the other channel, you're asked out unless you email me. But I don't get any signs or feeling that there's anybody chomping at the bit, as the expression goes, to get all my content. You get enough. And if I really wanted to share with you a sample of my writing, I could just post it in the description, give you a sample of my writing, right, before it goes into a future book, and then you can read that. And so basically, I'm going to be focusing on writing about my life story after the year 2012, writing about my dance with the paranormal, feeling like there were aspects of my audience that were possessed when I was living off grid for the purpose of getting me back in the city. So there's a whole journal about that, about me battling evil while I was off the grid, and learning the Kujikuru stuff with my hands was happening as crazy shit was happening, oddly enough, to the point where I stopped doing the Sanskrit chanting. I think I might get back into that. When you start doing certain types of energy work, things can happen that maybe they're to test you. That's all I'll say. And then, of course, there's the years of processing. The way I personally look at the Pagosa Springs Journal is something that some of you will be interested in, but not all of you. It's super niche. It is off-grid. But a lot of white off-gridders won't identify with it. They won't identify with the idea of being the only person who's not white, living in an all-white community that's all right-wing Donald Trump. The Muslims are going to get us while being basically someone with the last name and nobody having any sympathy. Not a single church, not a single woman, not a single employee from any business in town. And then the years and years of living up there, broken down with no, you guessed it. And so let's conclude. There's 5 people here and I like that. There's no need to keep you here. Ryan McPherson, Breaking My Heart, was a big wake-up call to what I was dealing with men that incarnated with me not being there for me and probably never ever will. The way his wife was able to tell him, bro, he's criticizing alcoholism. He's no good. Ditch him. And the way he went from being anti-racist to totally working for Trump supporters and being magnetically affected by the environment. So he was like, I hate to say left-leaning, but he was like so open-hearted, even loaned me a something for self-defense when I lived in Costilla County. Like his open-heartedness to me was very, very high. And then when we went to Pagosa and moved there 3 hours away, his empathy level, and I doubt he's watching now, but if someone is, they can tell him how I see him. And I bet it's completely collapsed into complete cruelty now and is very far away from the person. Because I've mentioned it many, many times and always wished it was so many men in this world will actually descend into the dark side. Some of them, they go off grid and they go to an area that's not open-hearted, but the opposite. And that's what I know. And so the reason why there is some kindness in some cities is because there is open-hearted energy that is encouraging at least the men of that demographic. Unfortunately, for your current incarnation, I've been left out for reasons that you learn about each and every day that you listen to this channel. You get a PhD in the one and only man like me, which there is no other that talks about this stuff, which is why I face the challenges. The in-depth expertise that I have and the challenges are intertwined. They play off each other. The more intelligent, the more hardship. And yet, if I was to sell out, the more pleasures of the flesh. So remember, each and every day you live in this world, it is a choice. Thank you for making this a great live stream. We'll see you later.